New Jones since 22, 24, 26, 32 ounce pretty blue. Stuff in your puff pig, snuffing with my fuck stick. 22 cent booty pig, 24 make movie flick. 26 mile high club, 3 Sims in the bathtub. Geechee for the lap up. Pray to God you meet each other in the mother some. Ex used to hate me, cause I fucked her best friend. She wanted to be a lesbian. Me too, fat bitch on the E2. Back boom on E2, beat you, slide to your one walls. Ebony, POV, met you on Pornhub. Hashtag, all cats, fat ass, no water. Booking somebody daughter. Ow!
You snatch that joint off like that, like that.
Hey, D, I ain't on D.
No, I'm
it's
ready.
all good
I'm
now.
ready. I'm playing
You're
ready.
always
I ain't
ready.
on
What's going on, everybody? I am your man,
Touch
C.
one, touch two.
I'm on.
You on?
Hey, what y'all doing?
Nah, I ain't on.
Jen Strong.
Tell them who you are.
No, there, okay. Okay. Jen Strong, lover of life. We in here once again.
Chuck
Hey, y'all.
Wagon. There we go. Chuck Wagon. Another day. Another day.
And this is the one,
The only,
the Two Real Radio.
With some mysterious bites in my hand, man. I'm telling you.
Dangerous.
You going like that.
Careful. That's the bag
Yeah.
of
We're
wheat.
not getting paid for this.
Yeah,
but
we ain't
still,
getting paid for that.
Bag
Either,
of
but
wheat.
Still.
I'm telling you, these orange are good, though.
I mean, y'all blocking y'all
I don't
own
wanna give out all
shadow.
my
Look at that.
secrets.
Look at that. They can they get it without the?
Man, that's a watermelon joint right there. Like that.
Deliciousness.
So, yeah, what's up? What's up, people?
Ah,
How we doing?
all right.
How we
all right,
feeling?
all right,
Great,
all right.
wonderful.
Sending our I hate saying, I'm a big I hate saying prayers and wishes, but sending our prayers and wishes to everybody dealing with the hurricane. That John was vicious, man. Just want to make sure everybody's okay. If you got family down there, check. My echo and this shit is tight.
Yeah, what you got the reverb.
Yeah.
But nah, you right though. Yeah, that.
Yeah, sending definitely prayers and wishes to them. Make
Definitely,
sure everybody's
yeah.
okay. If you got family down there, check in with them. Make sure they all right.
You seen some of the before and afters? You know what I mean? Like, it's, yeah,
I couldn't imagine. I just.
yeah. Houses floating in the water, all that good stuff. Yeah, man, crazy, man. But yeah, like you say, man, definitely thoughts and prayers,
and
man.
wishes.
Happy to be alive.
Yeah.
Happy to be
You know,
here
DC
once
actually
again.
in a good pocket if you think about it.
Yeah, we don't really
too much.
we get the rain from it.
Yeah.
But we don't get any direct. We don't get hit directly by anything. We don't.
I was talking with somebody at a job, and they were saying that DC was strategically picked for its climate or the perfect spot to start the whole, Now, like I said, I don't know. I mean, they could have just, somebody might have wrote a story about it and just, with all the stuff in it. But
Could be now.
But if you think about it, yeah, we don't get no hurricanes, we ain't get no tornadoes,
We don't get no hell of a. I
earthquake.
mean, we get some snow. We don't really get a lot of we not like.
We don't even get that like we used to.
Yeah, we don't. Not global warming.
Snow ain't what it used to be.
Nah, snow ain't what it used to
Shit,
be.
in winter, 2.5 weeks. So
I got a buddy that says it's all the government engineers our seasons now. They determine how much snow we get. They determine, he got they got the weather machines. The weather, I ain't with all.
Too deep, that's too deep right there. All the conspiracy theories, I'll just be like, all right, certain ones like
It's a conspiracy
what's the
theory
stretch
for
on that?
everything.
Like, it is.
Everything. I just don't buy in.
I told you, dude was telling me dinosaurs don't exist. They never
Yeah,
did.
that's
I
my
said,
favorite.
all right.
That's one of my favorites.
All right, so what's the point of that
exist.
then? All right, at the end of the day, okay, gotcha.
Who?
Dinosaurs don't exist.
somebody
But what does
went
that do
around
for me?
the
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like,
Somebody went around the entire world and decided they was going to bury something just deep enough where they would find it. But where's the joke behind that? My man was like, "That's the cosmic." It was a big joke for every. I said, "Young, when I do a joke on somebody, I want to be around to see it. I don't want to wait hundreds of years to be like,
Wait till
one
they find
day
this and-
somebody gonna be fucked up when they find out it's all a joke and shit."
and
Like,
wait till they put the bones together and it makes sense, and it actually does
Yeah,
form
it
some
just-
type of big ass body or something. But
jokes on you.
know,
I was dead
that's great,
20
man.
years ago though. But I mean, it just
Crazy, man.
it's a whole nother story.
speaking of crazy dinosaurs and shit,
crazy dinosaurs.
segue into your man.
What is he called now? What do we call him now? Yee. This motherfucker has lost his goddamn mind.
That man was tripping.
Wow. That's all I have to say.
Maybe he's just not quite sure what he means when he says things, or he's not.
Oh, dog, he knows.
He sounds like a dude that heard a story but only remember like 20% of that shit and just be going strong with it though. Like,
he's not speaking for me. He's not. I don't know how Trump thought, or that this was it's good to have somebody to stand up and speak for the black delegate.
Trump know what he doing.
First of all, we don't want him. If there's a racial draft, I'll trade him for Michael Rappaport.
Bring him back to draft.
Give me Rappaport. Give me Rappaport. Yeah, I'll take Rappaport. Rappaport be all on it. Give me him for Kanye. You know, I'll take Justin Timberlake for Kanye. Just give me
that.
You take Stacey Dash and Kanye West, and you give me Rappaport. I give you 2 for the 1. That's a good deal. That's a damn good deal. Y'all like Stacey Dash and Kanye. You know, and we'll take Rappaport.
I think Stacey just need to check for real. I think Stacey like whatever. What you want me to say?
We'll take her anyway. We don't want her anyway. Take Stacey Dash, and we'll take Michael Rappaport. I'm telling you, he's the man. We need him. We need him. You can take Kanye. Who else can you take? Who else can we get rid of? But we're throwing Ben Carson for free. You can just take Ben Carson.
There's no excuses that could be made.
It's
for the shenanigans at this point. It's like beyond ridiculous at this point.
His rant on like Saturday Night Live. His just.
But think about it. He just go on for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Just goes.
It's because they keep giving him the platform. That's why.
And Trump just looking at him, just nodding his head. And at the end of the day, yeah, that was cool. And at the same time, the hurricane joint just popped off.
Right. And we talking about
that, but you in there with
hey, yo, how you? My thing about that meeting though, you had the Beach Boys, like for modern music, like to represent modern, to pass a bill on modern music or music modernization or whatever it was in there for. You got Crazy Kanye, you got the Beach Boys, modern music, Beach Boys.
And then you got Jim Brown in the mix too.
Yeah. Hey, look, man. Look, man, his coonery it knows no bounds, man. No, you were standing up for us back in the day. You were one of the people you were the Colin Kaepernick back then. He looked up to you for that, and now you out there jump. You know,
I wonder where it came from though, for real.
Looking like the goddamn WB frog and shit. Hello, my baby. Hello, my cooning ass. You know what I'm saying? If he was an actor, he'd be Sean Coonery. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, man.
Favorite movie?
I don't know.
Cocoon.
I don't know what this whole thing is. Cocoon.
You know what I'm saying? You fucking jerks. I just don't. I just don't understand. That was pretty good, right? That was good, right?
Actually,
I was trying to keep. I was trying to
word.
jump into another form, like some music, or I was trying to, you know what I'm saying. But I was after Cocoon. I was
Cocoon.
I just don't understand how the swift change all of a sudden. I know it ain't right in black. I know black community in our cell we not right now. We got a lot of things we got to work through, and we're starting to get it. You know, this is the product of slavery. I mean, this is just what you have to deal with coming out of 400 years of 300 years of oppression, and then 100 years of holdback, and now
all the bullshit.
We still need 260 something. I was looking at something. We need 260 years. Still to catch up to the average, for the average black person to be equal to the average white person. We still need 260 years. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we getting there. But what happened to the shift? I mean,
I just don't see how they backing this dude. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not taking nothing away from him, but Trump, though. Like, after he said what he said, y'all done seen how he done acted. And
he's
this
not
the one
a good
that you
businessman.
That's the only thing
he's
I'm
not making good decisions.
He's an individual. He allowed her to feel how the hell he want to feel. That's him.
And whoever follow him, they can feel how
You're
they
not
feel.
Speaking for us, man.
Saying, right?
Nobody speaks for me but me.
Him.
But if I had to get somebody,
I'm not knocking him for feeling how you want to feel. You want to lick this man balls, lick this man balls. Like, that's your prerogative. You know
think about it. People who like him, they agreeing with him too. So he bringing everybody with him.
I mean, I'm talking about on every level, on every turn, this dude is absolutely.
But you allowed to do that. That's how you want to feel that way. Okay.
But Kanye's a fucking idiot, man.
That's just you. one person.
But see, for real though, think about
How
it though.
you
What you
feel.
said is simple, but that's might be one of the hardest things in life to just let everybody got an opinion
Right.
and just let it be. All right,
Yeah.
cool. But
Assholes.
if
and
that was the
opinions.
case, then
We
it'd be
all
a
got
perfect
'em.
utopia, and obviously it's not a perfect utopia we live in, and people get mad at certain people
Because it was
opinions
all
and
over the
things like that.
news.
So
Because they making a big deal about it that they had a meeting. So they
What
I
it-
mean,
but,
because something real
I didn't
went
give,
down,
I didn't
though.
give a
I
shit
mean,
to. I didn't
because
give a
the
shit till
hurricane
Trump
went
said.
down,
I didn't
like-
give a shit till Trump said. We got somebody to speak for the black delegate. Like you don't. That motherfucker's not speaking for me. Like nah.
Right,
that's the crazy.
that's the part.
That's the crazy uncle at the cookout. Like he ain't
That's the part
speaking for
when I'm like,
us.
that's
Like
just
nah.
You're one person. You're
But
not
just the
speaking
fact
for
that he
nobody.
didn't even have like the compassion to be like, you know what, let's put this on hold. Some real shit just popped off. People lost their houses, all this and that. He still ran with it. Got the photo
ego-
ops. You saw all the
an egotistical-
all the people taking all the
Still
pictures and everything
surprised?
off the
An
joint. Nah, I ain't
egotistical
surprised.
reality
Nah,
star
Nothing
Right.
with him.
Right.
Nothing with him.
seeks
Nah.
a meeting
Right.
with the mentally unstable
At this point, I'm just waiting,
artist.
waiting it out.
No, here's my question.
what I
Here's
mean?
my joint. Here's my joint. Where's the shut the hell up and go make music at? You know, remember when LeBron and them, made they stance on how they felt. It was, just shut up and dribble, just shut up and go play basketball. Where the hell is the shut up and go make music? Nobody's telling, oh, this is a wonderful thing that Kanye's doing. This is a great thing that he's doing. Nah, shut the fuck up and go make some beats. That's what you
what
need
I'm
to go
saying.
do. You know what I'm saying? It was okay
you
for
even
LeBron and
argue
them.
to be having
I'm not
a
even a
meeting with
LeBron.
the
I'm not a LeBron
president.
on court fan. I just on court I can't stand LeBron. Like
So
what
you
I'm
can't
saying?
stand LeBron
As soon as he
on
steps
the court,
off
yeah.
the court, I'm a huge.
Oh, he
fan.
doing his thing.
I'm,
He
I'm
doing his
you know, what I'm
thing,
saying? On
yeah.
the court, I just
He's using his platform in
on the
what I would
court,
say
I
a
just
right way.
I
you know,
can't. I
like,
hate you on the
actually
court.
do
Off the
something.
court, hats off to you, sir. But where's Kanye shut up and dribble? Where's his shut up and go make music? Go shut up and make ugly clothes. Go go make soft shoes and shit. Where go make space boots and shit. Where's that at? The double standard.
But like I say, for all the people he gaining, he losing people too. So I mean, it just
Yeah,
is
hey,
what
young
it is,
Kim about
but
to Kim
there's a
about
lot
to
of
hit him
people
with the
that's jumping
Heisman. Kim about to she about to grab the baby and this the bank account. She gonna grab the bank account in one arm and she gonna stiff arm him to the. They quick to drop that load, man. You're not gonna mess up that brand. Chris ain't having it. Not at all.
What else happened?
Kavanaugh's in. We knew that was gonna happen. We had
Oh, yeah, of
no
course.
doubt whatsoever.
Disgusting, despicable.
Yeah, we went deeper into the young man that was killed by the police officer's house than we did to this guy's backstory. So, thanks for that, America.
And like you say, surprise, right?
Right, no surprise whatsoever.
No surprise. Right.
So shocked.
Anything else? Anything else in the week? Anything big? Anything? Mr. Wizard, anything big that we missed? Anything big?
Say Mr. Wood. Hey, he is the voice, right?
He's
the
he's
voice,
the
right?
man
The
behind
anonymous
call.
voice.
So
they
he's
call
the
him.
man. Yeah, I think
That's
that's
what's
it.
up. That's what's up. Well,
Well,
we got something real. We
Yeah,
talking
something
about
real.
today.
We got all the
Definitely.
bullshit out the way. You know what I'm saying?
Hold up, one thing.
Free Bill
Yeah, go
Cosby.
One
yo.
thing. Happy birthday to my sister.
Yo,
Oh, there you go.
Grandma.
I love you.
Happy birthday, sis.
Joe Boo, what's
I
up?
love
That's
you.
what's up.
I love you.
You ain't gonna sing happy birthday? No. Oh, okay. All right. I tried, sis. But it's,
Yeah, no,
she gonna
definitely
give
happy
you a
birthday.
private.
young.
She gonna give you a
That's-
private joint. But yeah, that's what's up.
It's a tight running. It's a tight running for my favorites and shit in my family. It's a tight group.
Yeah.
That joint tight. That joint tight. But that's my favorite.
That's what's up. Happy birthday.
But it definitely happy birthday.
She know who she is.
So So this month is we do a lot of fun shows. We had our sex show yesterday. Before that we had our actually the prostate show was pretty good. The men's health
The
show.
prostate show.
Men's health show was pretty
He
dope.
knew
Man.
what he was talking about,
I still
man.
got my prostate sitting on my table and shit, my dining room table, my living room table.
Hey, is that the?
The dog had it. The dog was.
Yeah, speaking to prostate,
Yeah, right.
With the
dog,
glove
the
on
dog
and
actually,
everything, you know.
the dog had the prostate, and I was like, and Danielle was like, what the hell is that? I was like, yeah, he's got my prostate. You know what I'm saying? It was a interesting, so that was a dope show. But tonight we have another really dope, really serious show, domestic violence. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and extremely serious topic. I got my stat sheet over there, but
You want it? Or after the break?
yeah, no. Well, actually, yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a break. We're gonna get our guest up here,
Quick break.
and we're gonna get into domestic violence.
Turu
Not
Radio.
get into, but we're gonna cover
Radio.
domestic.
Be right back.
violence. Be right back. cheating, y'all. I'm cheating.
We back,
we
y'all.
We're back. We're back. So we have our special guest here, Mr. Shira from My Sister's Place,
Yeah.
first domestic shelter in the district, right?
Yes. First
Domestic violence shelter,
Yep.
right? Okay, I got it right. So, domestic violence. Let's get into exactly what domestic violence is.
Sure. There's a lot of definitions. You have legal definitions, then you have, let's be real in the community. Domestic violence isn't just physical, which is what we think of. Domestic violence can be financial coercion, reproductive violence, emotional violence, spiritual violence. We don't think about kind of in our communities. We don't think about some of those things that do control. It's power and control. That's what it is. It's a dynamic things that we see in our households. I want to talk about like the reproductive part. We don't think about that people being kept pregnant or being forced to have abortions in their relationships. Or hey, I'm sure you've heard this. Hey, what we need to use a condom for? What do we need to use a condom for?
So all these fall under the umbrella.
Under the umbrella of domestic violence. It's one of those things where in our households we actually take it as normal. We think that is something that we're supposed to. So we talk about spirituality, that you are supposed to succumb to and it's a gender-based violence. Obviously men are victims of domestic violence, but it's predominantly women, and it is very rampant in our Black communities as well. And My Sister's Place has been around for about 40 years. They started off with a hotline actually in the 70s, about 79, and then they saw that women needed a place to go after they called, because it was dangerous, and so that's where the shelter came about. It was just for women, and then we figured out that women stay because they don't want to leave their children. So then My Sister's Place then expanded, I think in 2010, 15 families we can serve, and so we serve families, and that means a victim or a survivor and their children. And we also have expanded to have transitional housing, because once you do your emergency, then we go on to transitional housing, and we're trying to actually tackle a lot of things. We actually even have a batterer intervention program, cater to children. We have a bystander intervention, so that way you know how to help somebody. Because, the college campus is right around the corner. Domestic violence is happening on college campuses.
Y'all hear this, people?
So it's not just it's not just married people. It's anybody that.
Real quick though, how can they get in touch with you?
Okay.
In case somebody needs you right now.
Somebody need me right now, you can call 202-540-1064. And there's also another hotline that's DC, DC wide. A lot of people who are experiencing domestic violence have also experienced sexual assault, other what we call poly-victimization, other things that are happening as a result of not just the domestic violence, but just poor coping skills, and this is not victim blaming, this is more of like, this is generational things that happen. But you can also call the DC Victim Hotline, 844 for Help DC as well. And again, My Sister's Place, 202-540-1064. The DC Victim Hotline also has a online chat. So these days we're always on our phone. You can actually reach them that way, and they can get you connected with us. A lot of other places can get you connected with us. It's not singular.
So you said you got physical, verbal, religious,
absolutely,
reproductive. What's so loud? Economic, emotional. What religious? Help me out with religious.
Sure. So let's
Control.
It's a lot about.
Well, I mean,
control.
all of this is basically, like you said, economic would be, withholding money. You stuck. You can't go anywhere. You're broke. I'm gonna keep you broke, so you can't go. You can't do.
Absolutely.
But religious,
Give us
so with religious, it's near and dear to our heart, right? For a lot of people, God is their way, and some people feel forsaken by. But when you're, I'm just gonna say, if I use men and not say she, I'm not saying that she doesn't commit, but it's predominantly he. So if he tells you, this is your duty, it's in the Bible. In the Bible, it says that you obey me, and you quote scripture.
Right.
Okay, let's not just use the Bible. There are other religions that are, and let's say I think it's misused. Now let's say this: it also goes into our church community. So a lot of churches are split up. You have your deacon board, but where the women go. And when you go to your pastor, which I think is a great place of healing. Let me say this. Doesn't mean that this is not a place of healing, but there's great places of healing. But if somebody advises you to kind of keep it quiet, keep it insular, or stay because it's against your religion to divorce, or because of the kids,
Right. Tell you to just pray on it, and God will fix it.
Pray it
and
away.
Just pray
you
it
pray it
away,
away, and then
right.
you're stigmatized because now let's be fair here. Domestic violence affects you in a way that you have to separate from everything you know, your community, your family. Some people have to move far away to get away from somebody who might potentially murder them. And we don't want to get into that. So now all of a sudden, the people that you loved and shared, a lot of people when they're really deep in their church families, they're abandoning that, or they are abandoned by that. So that religious coercion is something that's a huge part. Even with the reproduction, right? Yep. You're supposed to be fruitful and prosper, right? You're supposed to just
right.
you see
Yeah.
you see,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But it seems like one of the big things with AM1D.
Share mine?
There we go. All right. But it seems like one of the big things with domestic violence is talking about it, or someone, coming forward about it, or even if someone might know someone in a situation, but almost like that's their business, or, things like that. It seems like that's one of the biggest things with domestic violence. So, from your perspective, have you noticed anything, like, as far as, like, people when they come forward, like, it takes them a while, or is it,
Data shows it takes someone 11 times to leave. Like on
11
average,
times.
11 times, and that's on average. So that means that there's more, and then there's certainly less. And then I think one thing that at my sister's place, we follow this voluntary services approach, and what that means is like we got to meet you where you are. And the domestic violence, and let's say domestic violence does not only, especially in DC, doesn't mean just me and my boo. It could be my mom. It's just it could be your roommate even. Legally, I should say. But if we're talking about intimate partner violence, then we could go there. But it's like that started in love, especially when you have children in common. So, okay, and so you don't. I'll say this: I am married. I've been with my partners for almost 20 years now, and shout out Marcus.
Shout out Marcus.
Good luck. 20 years. That's what's happening. Congratulations.
Yeah, but we have 2 children together, and if he loses his mind one day and decides to mollywop me across my forehead, I am not gonna lie. I'm a person who does this work every day. But I can see myself saying, okay, we got to get through this for the kids. I love you. Exactly. Right. And so service providers, as angry as we are, and we want justice for this person, we have to realize that justice is something different for each person. Mm-hmm. And so I say safety is always, so if right now I see somebody just going at it across the street, what should I do, right? That's a question everybody wants to know, because the way I was raised, you mind your business. But you know what? We don't want to see somebody on the news. What if that person is on the news? And then you take care of yourself too, thinking, what if something happens to this person?
I saw some kids fighting. They got off the bus stop. They got off the bus. At the bus stop, they was wrecking.
But what do you do?
2 girls. I ain't get out and I ain't stop because, for one, I had my daughters in the car.
Right. Safety
and for
first.
So your safety first. Your safety first is the first, right?
And for 2, it was already somebody breaking it up.
Right.
So I was like, all right, he's trying to break it up.
But you proved my point is
like,
that, like,
oh
if somebody's fighting up there, I'm not going out there. I'm not going out there.
I would have been so upset if that was my child, my teenager at the bus stop fighting like that. But the
data shows that the most dangerous police call is domestic violence.
Right, yeah.
I mean, because it's a crime of passion. It's rooted in, like I said, sometimes love, but it's maladapted, and so you have these behaviors that we just keep perpetuating. Masculinity is a huge part of that, and so, but safety first, but call. Don't there's this thing called kind of like this bystander syndrome where you'll call. Oh, you see it too. He gonna call. You gonna call.
Yeah, somebody else.
Yeah, but then we all gonna meet and be like, oh, remember when remember we were there fight? Oh, I remember that. But nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. And so it's all.
Be like, remember that lady? That's that same lady. That's that lady on the news.
Yeah. And so I say, keep yourself safe. Call. The worst that'll happen is at the call. Most of the time they gone.
And that's why I go back to one thing. I teach my kids: keep your hands to yourself.
Absolutely.
Try to control yourself.
But for some people, if your kids don't see if your kids see hugs and like I always tell the kids when they get to fighting at my house, look, hands are for hugs, not hits.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's my
Hands are
thing.
for hugging.
You know what I'm saying? But if your kids see, love, affection, holding hands, and that's what they're gonna go out here and they're gonna go out here in the world hugging people.
But
if
we
your
have to
kids
teach each
see
other that.
violence, if your kids see it's going to perpetuate a cycle of violence. It's going to be their norm to see verbal abuse, physical abuse.
And see, this is the thing that gets me too, because I'm not gonna say a lot of guys. I don't know statistics, but
Neither do I.
guys who hit women, their mother was abused by like their
lot
father.
of times.
It's
No, there are
like-
statistics on that.
Right, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
always
yeah.
like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a,
okay.
but
Yeah,
to me
I
that's
know that
always
one.
like a
Yeah.
weird dynamic because if anything,
not
you
weird
would
at
be
all.
like, well, I'm saying weird in the aspect of if you saw that your father did that to your mother, and if you have any type of respect or love for your mother, then it'd be like, all right, I'm not going to do that to another woman because I saw what my father did to my mother. But some guys can flip that the opposite and be like, well, my
That's what
father
mine-
did that to my mother. And
But out of frustration,
you see what I'm saying?
I'm not going to say. I mean, maybe in their head, it's like, okay, I'm never going to do this. But when they get frustrated, you mimic what you've seen. So as much as we don't want to, we all turn into our parents.
Well, I'm gonna
Cycles
speak on
create
this.
cycles.
I'm
So
gonna
it's
speak on
like
this.
as much as you govern your house a certain way, you kind of imitate what your parents do.
Some of it's not even in your control. Let me tell you why. I actually just came from this conference. It's a family court and domestic violence conference, and it was great. And we had some people speaking on children. Your brain is physiologically affected by that trauma that you experience. And for little children, but when I say little, I mean babies, going all the way up into those formative years, when you see that, I don't care how much you pray it away. I don't care how much somebody even tells you this is not the way to be, unless you have that support and continue, like with your kids. You said, okay, hands are for hugs, not hitting, and you're always trying to show that. Otherwise, that brain gets used to that. We're an adaptive species, so we always want to do what's normal. So if that's what's normal, your brain is going to be affected by that. That neurobiology is key.
I told y'all.
And so if that's what you see,
so subconsciously
you don't even know.
even realize.
You turn into your parents.
You basically end up
Subconsciously. You turn into your parents,
it's what
whether you
go
want
back
to
to
or
what's innate. And
no
you can't
matter
help
what. Yeah.
that. But the same
now
way
what do
that
you
your
do-
brain
how do you
can
deal
be,
with that, though?
See, that's it. The
Yeah,
same way
correct.
that your brain is
How you break the cycle.
yeah. Well, the same way that your brain can form that way, the same way you could change it around. Your brain is plastic. The same way you can learn right now to play the violin. It'll be hard this time around. But maybe when you were 10, you could have learned it faster. But you can learn to play the violin. That's the same way you can learn. And one of our programs is a batterer intervention program. And we actually had a gentleman speaking about saying, I didn't even know there was something wrong with me. I didn't know that I turned into. I grew up in the church and I grew up knowing, but I didn't realize that I turned this other way and I was beating my, and I remember seeing him. I felt like he was in tears. I don't know, but he was saying that I didn't know that I could learn to be different and better. And he said, and I'm working. He's like, but like an alcoholic, I will always be an abuser.
Yeah.
Right.
Like an alcoholic, I have to know that if I go to the bar until I am ready to go to the bar, I'm not going to the bar. I'm not going to expose myself to liquor. But
I can't. Yeah.
Right.
and
I
it's the
see what
same
you're
thing.
saying.
It's in your brain. It's
Now,
an illness.
Do you get men calling
So
as
what do
well?
you-
Absolutely.
So you do get.
So
men.
what do you say? Like, what does he say? Until I get better, I'm not gonna argue with my wife.
No,
to
no,
get
no,
myself
no.
mad.
No. He's like, it's not even a get better. He's just like, I have to know, just like an alcoholic has to know where their limit is. They have to know when
Walk
I
away.
reach that limit, not even walk away. Walking away obviously didn't work, right? You need to find, who do I call? Where do I go? And that's something that we're lacking in our community is that we
Right.
don't have places to go.
Outreach places.
Yeah.
We don't have
For
like
that.
that.
We don't even
For-
accept the issue.
We don't even talk about it.
We don't. It's not a.
But that's what I like about the batterer intervention program. It's actually, we follow something out of Atlanta, Men Stopping Violence, and they've put together this really great curriculum. And I only know about it because it's fresh in my head. We just talked about it. But it's been, when I say amazing to hear this man speak, saying, because then it's an accountability piece. It's almost like each one teach one. He learns it, then he goes and reaches out. He says that, in his apartment complex, he hears so many
Like you hear things
going on. He's like,
Right,
so then
that's the
you
thing, right.
maybe you don't intervene at that
Specifically
time,
for
but maybe
that.
you say, hey man, listen, why don't you come to this group with me? I'm just telling
shut
you, there's a
'em and
better
come
way.
pick you
You don't
up
want to end up
everything.
locked up because of this.
Right, exactly.
Just stuff like
exactly.
that. So I don't know.
And I
It's
think fear too. I
Yeah.
think fear is big with a lot of people.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, about not coming out and not saying.
AD. Got knocked out. There we go.
What you doing, man? Are you talking to the right ear? No, I'm just messing with you.
I'm
You were
good
saying
now.
fear
Fear is big. I think that's
of coming out.
it stops people from reacting, probably accordingly, the way that you probably should, especially if you think about other men when they see a man doing something. I mean, it's almost like, some of those dudes get, I don't want to do anything, or non-confrontational people, things like that, and then you just watch it go by, and I think, that's another contributing factor of it too.
Absolutely. We've accepted as a
Don't be
community.
scared to
Yeah,
get
they
help,
just accept
people.
it. Yeah, I don't want to say
We don't
nothing
need to
about
be. We
it.
don't need
Talk
to be
to
scared.
somebody.
Now what?
Keep reaching out until you find the right help for you.
Now, other than literally fear of physical violence, what prevents a person from just getting about the door and just being like, I'm done, I'm
Oh
out?
my goodness.
Probably children.
I
probably
mean-
gotta
I mean, of
be.
course. We said
Family
children, of
and-
course.
Your kids, you got to pay for rent. I mean, I always
Not
say,
having
like,
the
I don't
money
know, you don't have the money to live on your own. The stigma, of a failed relationship. For our immigrant brothers and sisters, that fear of being deported because that person says,
I didn't, honestly, I didn't even think of all the foreign. I'm thinking
Yeah.
strictly domestic. I mean,
yes, no.
but I didn't even think of
That
you going
aspect.
home. Yeah, the fear of having to go back home or being deported. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
because
holy
of
shit.
me, I'm
Yeah,
allowing
I
you to be
sponsored
here.
you, and I
I'ma
will
call the
revoke that.
people.
Right.
Some people withhold someone's papers, so like their ID. They move them. So part of there's this power and control wheel, and it's the
Kids,
Duluth
withhold
model.
kids.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I will take the
Control
kids
over the
away.
kids.
I will say that you're crazy. I will say that you are a drug addict. I will say all these things, and oftentimes those things are already being put in place. It's not. The evil is there. It happens, and we see it happening. We just don't really recognize how bad it is. And then you also know, like, it's one of those things of like the fear of the unknown is why you don't leave as
Yeah,
well.
correct,
Exactly
yeah.
what you said. I know that today he's gonna hit me, and then in 2 or 3 days he's gonna come back, tell me he's sorry. He's gonna give me some money to go get my hair done, and get me some flowers, and then we know we're gonna get tense again because he's gonna get jealous, and because I have to go to my job, whatever. But at least
Making
I know
excuses
that that's the pattern.
As crazy as
I
it
don't
may
know
be,
what's going to
it's
happen
used
when
to
I
it,
leave,
right,
though.
like,
If I
yeah.
leave, where am I going to stay? What money am I going to have? What are my kids going to eat?
What's he gonna do?
What is he going to do?
Yeah,
The most dangerous time for a woman is when she is leaving.
And then whole time
why is
you
that?
can leave, get into a whole nother relationship, but the same thing
And start
happens.
all over again.
Then you guilty because
accept this is
now
your-
you done. Now what the fuck is wrong
Right,
with
now
you?
you think
Right.
it's
You're
you.
right.
Self-blame.
You
You know what I'm
attracted or
saying?
something, right?
So
Now you start
self-blame
Why
is
does
a
it
huge
keep
one.
happening to me? Like when my attracted this shit to me, like oh my god, like oh my god, so you need to
Self-blame
get
is
help.
huge.
Do I deserve? Maybe it's
You need
just
to get
what
help
maybe
all
it's
the way
just my
around.
cross to
Right,
bear
right,
type
right,
shit.
right,
yeah.
right.
Absolutely. So I
So it's a
mean,
million different reasons why
Oh
a
yeah.
person might not.
Yeah, it's
just
and it's dangerous to leave. I mean, that person has lost control over you. They're going to do what they can to gain that control back, and that's where my sister's place comes in. That's where that confidentiality piece, a safe place for you to go. And some people don't take the confidentiality serious. Like, why are you telling people? But as long as it's somebody that's safe and you trust, fine. But don't tell your partner's sister. 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, you
Call
think.
call his mom and tell her that
Now,
you're
is this all
safe
anonymous?
way at
Like,
so yeah.
It's all anonymous calls, or you?
So no, well, when you call for us for help, it's no, we gather your information
Okay,
so we
so
can
that you
help
can
you.
help you
But
out,
the
okay.
DC Victim Hotline is completely anonymous.
Okay,
But they'll warm
okay.
transfer you as soon as you start to disclose. They'll say, "Oh, we don't need to know that, but we'll transfer you to an organization that can assist you." And they often will warm transfer to us. I will say this. There aren't a lot of beds. I think it's like a total of six. I think for us we have 45 beds. That includes for women and children. 15 more for little babies. But there's already a housing crisis, and then imagine a broad housing crisis, and then we have DV. It's even worse.
Right.
And safety, and what we're having is we're seeing people kind of isolated to one area. You're trying to leave this area because everybody knows you and your business there.
Right.
How you go? we don't have any other alternatives that's
Right.
affordable. Because now you're on a single income.
Right.
You got to take the kids. If you leave the kids, and then of course you get involved with like CPS and all these other. That's the other thing.
Daycare.
You're right.
Who
Absolutely.
could pick him up now? He can't pick him up, and you can pick him up,
And you gotta- and you gotta
sign
co-parent.
papers, and if you don't want to pick him up, you gotta go to court and get an order, and just
Yep.
that's why
you must
people
have heard
stay.
this story. I mean, but that's one of the things is that you must have heard the story.
I heard a
before.
thing or two.
Yeah, I mean, but it's real. It's real. It's one other tactic is using the courts to keep you here. So if I have children, I try to leave. I file for a temporary protective order because I don't want you anywhere near me. I say I need emergency. I need to have my children. That's on the protective order. You go downstairs in the family court and say I need custody of my kids. Now I can't leave D.C. and go to
Because of
Carolina where my grandmother is
I got a case.
because I have to stay here. Otherwise, you're gonna say that I kidnapped our kids.
Oh shit.
I know.
crazy, man.
It's hard
It's
work.
crazy, man.
But it's necessary
Million
work. I'm
different
so glad that
scenarios.
we're able to do the
So
work. Though.
thank y'all for
and
what
it's
y'all doing.
Definitely a very good service, and
Thank
that you all
y'all for
provide.
what y'all doing
Absolutely.
for the
So
community.
Now, my thing is for somebody looking to make the great escape. What are the steps? Because if you're being physically abused, if you're being financially abused, any type of way, you just can't, like you said, you just can't just get up and go. So what would be some steps, step by step, that somebody could take to just maybe slowly, not all at once,
Absolutely.
but to free themselves from somebody that's,
Sure, there's no one solid plan. I do think it helps to call. There's, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Obviously, you can call My Sister's Place the safety plan. But if we want to talk about some practical steps, if you have a way to keep a burner phone charged, whether you leave it at the neighbor's house, if you have a code word with a neighbor, a close friend, if I text you this, just know that this means you need to come get me, come get the kids. I think it's about building a network. Now, one tactic is for people to be isolated. And so you often don't have that. So if you're by yourself and you are isolated, see if you can store some money someplace in a secret.
Be smart. Okay?
Yeah, it's not that
For
easy
one
though.
piece-
Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
No,
harder
I'm
to
saying
do.
I'm saying it
Yeah.
in a sense of plan it out if you
Yes.
have to.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do. Do a little bit here, do a little bit there.
Ask a friend to hold
You
some
know what I
money
mean?
for
But whole
you.
time you building yourself up to know that you gotta go. You can't stay there.
Yeah.
You can't keep getting abused. You can't let your kids keep. You can't do it. You gotta find a better
in my
way.
mind, it's like if you got to
So-
jump out the window barefoot and run down the street, then
In the
so be
middle of
it.
the night,
just do it. I mean, I
Right.
don't.
It ain't
But
always
it's
that
easy though. I mean,
It's
like
right,
you
it's
said,
not-
it
it's
seems
not that.
easy.
It
It
seems-
sounds
yeah,
it sounds easy
easy,
until
but
you
it's
found until
probably
you
not that easy.
We've
until
had-
you got 4 kids.
yeah
Everybody gonna run down the street.
yeah
By the time you get the 2 kids in the stroller, there you go.
Yeah.
yeah and planning
Like where
time
the hell you think you going?
planning time
Get your ass back in the house.
right exactly you have to plan
If
like
you try to
so-
leave me again, I'ma kill your ass.
and that's
And
exactly
that's,
what
yeah,
happens
that's what.
Straight like that.
Some women will do
And the
like,
kids.
they leave while they're at work. Like, I'm going to work, which is the normal routine. They've already got their bag, whatever, little piece by little piece. But that's a tense time. That's a real
crazy.
tense time. So if anybody is listening, this doesn't have to be your plan.
It
You have to
doesn't.
come up with the plan that's safest
Safe for you.
Right.
Safety first. Safety
Absolutely.
first.
What's safe for you? I'm just thinking of. So here's
Ladies,
some other things,
gentlemen,
some safety tips.
Whoever it is.
If we're in
It's
there,
not
we
just
have,
ladies.
we have, yeah, absolutely. We have some things some practical things that you can do if you are at risk of experiencing that violence. Don't go into the kitchen. A lot of weapons in the kitchen.
Right.
You sense that fight and you know when it's
I
coming.
mean, think about
Right.
that. But
Don't
yeah,
go
you're right.
by the
Hey,
kitchen.
19%
bathroom.
of all domestic violence involve a weapon.
Yeah, absolutely.
19%. I'm looking at it right there.
Go in the bathroom.
So continue. Don't
I
don't
mean-
go.
Lock yourself in the room. Lock
Don't
yourself
go
in
into
the room.
the
You and your
kitchen.
Don't
kids.
go into the kitchen. Try to stay next to an exit door. Have some signals with the neighbor. Like if I flash these lights 3 times, come get me.
Right.
You
Something I
know?
also heard
Call
was,
the police.
instead of
Something.
yelling help, you know, 'cause
Yes.
people say help all the time. It's like yell fire or yell something different that'll get people.
Yeah,
to
you
look
yell
at
fire, you
You
gonna
help all the time. People
Right.
are like, yeah, all right.
Or
whatever.
even screaming. That's why. So I'll tell you something I do with my kids. I don't like. I know children, they scream, but I always tell them save the scream for an emergency because mommy doesn't know if you scream this time and next time.
That's smart.
For that.
That's
So
very
like
smart.
we
yeah.
talk about like loud talk. You know, culturally we talk loud, but that screaming. So if I say help. Sounds different
If
than
they're
help, but actually to somebody outside your window, help just sounds like, oh, she's just playing around there. You know,
Right.
there's
I see what you're
exactly. So you
saying,
don't
right.
want to. That's why it's illegal actually to say fire in a theater. You know, because you
Oh,
don't
you-
want somebody to be like, oh, it's another
Right.
person pranking.
Right.
Nah,
And it really be
Yeah,
fire.
so don't
yeah.
say
Yeah,
fire in the
watch
theater.
out for fire then, yeah, you know.
But no, that's a really
I
good
do,
idea.
yeah, I
That's
see
a
what
really
you're
good
saying.
idea.
So it's illegal to cry wolf.
It's illegal to cry wolf for obvious reasons.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, and then the other piece is guys, don't stand around and watch it. Okay, you see it. I know we're tired of seeing the police in our neighborhoods. We don't want to hear it. We know that it happened there. They keep going through this, but you know what? It can happen one time. So the statistics that black women are more susceptible to being killed than a white woman. I think that I want to say
Due
there's
to domestic violence.
due to domestic violence. Yeah, right. And I actually had this statistic in my head. It's gone away, but it's different. It's markedly different than a white woman. So even in our black communities, we're actually killing each other, and it's terrible. I think women.
We gotta stop. We
Yeah,
just
sorry.
we don't take.
yeah, I thought you were saying gotta stop.
No.
Sorry.
I'm saying I'm saying
passionate.
as black people, we have to stop mental health,
Yes.
physical health,
Yes.
abuse, education, mental health. Your kids have a learning disability. We have to stop pretending like this stuff does not exist for us, and we got to stop pretending because we can get through slavery. We can shake off autism and shit. That doesn't work like that. Like we
No.
have so many problems that we choose, like you say, just to not even acknowledge.
It's safer though. It's safer because acknowledging it means that you have to deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Takes
But
action.
I'm gonna
You're right.
say this. I'll say this. I'm actually
sorry.
from Florida. Moving here, DC has so many resources that I don't think our community knows about. And I don't know if it's because we choose not to know about it or what. I don't, but I will say this: if you need help, there is help
That's
out
why I
there.
say
yeah,
reach
definitely,
out
yeah,
until
yeah.
you find
If you
somebody
can,
that's
if you
gonna
can
help
get the police, if y'all can get
Keep
the
reaching
police
out.
to your house, they don't want to leave without taking you out of there. If they feel it's a problem, they will stand and ask you repeatedly.
Is everything okay?
I've had the
Sure?
neighbors call
Sure?
because of a verbal argument, and they were trying to take everybody out the house. They're not playing with this situation anymore because people are getting one call, two calls, and then next thing you know,
They're dead.
Right.
somebody's dead. Male and female, like you said, male and female, but mostly women are the victims.
Yeah, in DC, they'll arrest you both. Actually,
Yeah,
They do not want
Almost
to.
like somebody gotta go.
Somebody
down.
gotta
Like,
go.
They come
Well,
out.
somebody come
like,
up out of here.
gotta
Take the
go, right.
kids.
And then take the kids to,
Then, right,
CPS.
then get the courts
Think
all
about
in it.
all
Yeah,
of
That's
that.
a whole different ball game too.
And I think that might be some of the fear, right? Like that's why you don't want to call your friend. But I think that if we look at the worst case scenario versus this
Right.
inconvenience,
Right. Exactly. Right.
okay, a life, and mind you, this taking of this life affects a community.
the effects are generation to generation,
Absolutely.
lifelong. I mean, it definitely.
Cycle fear.
I mean, you want to go to court or you want to go to a funeral. I mean, you want to be there for
I'm
your
gonna
friend
use
in
that.
court.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
use
do
that.
you want to be there for your friend in
use
court,
that.
or do you want to be at her funeral saying you wish you could have done or you should have done, and you knew about it, or
But it's
Or the ones
Kidnap
that's all about
kidnap
the
your friend.
kids
If your
and
friend is
then,
going
you
through
know.
it and she get in the car with you, just don't take her home. Just don't ever take her. And there's no kids involved. And like, just get her out of there. Sometimes she's not going to be able to make the best decision because she's in it. She's standing right in it. Get her out of there, dude. Leave your stuff behind. I know you said pack a bag. Fuck that shit. It's stuff. Leave everything. Just go. I mean, this is your life. Like Mama says, no dress rehearsal. You don't get a do-over. So you gotta. And you can't control. Well, it wasn't that bad this time, and it wasn't that bad. And he just, he's extra stressed and he's extra okay.
Yeah, girlfriend.
When your head leaking
Go in
the
there with her
kitchen.
one day while she getting ready. And while she getting ready, you take your big person. While she getting ready, you say, "What's the most important shit to you in here?"
I mean, really, most
Quit.
of the time it's your documents.
quick.
But
if
Put
you're
them
a
in my
citizen-
bag. Put them
but
in
if
my
you're a
bag. Put them in
citizen-
my
You can get
bag.
them
Put
all.
them in
You
my
can get all
bag.
your documents. You can get them all.
over.
You can get
Yeah.
all your.
That's it.
They got a social
That's
security
it.
office.
That's it.
They,
That's
you,
it.
you know,
That's
you
it.
gotta,
We gone.
Nobody
We gone.
wants
We
to go to the
gone.
DMV, but guess what? You
Straight
can
like
go back
that.
down there and get another ID. It's nothing that you have.
I'm that friend.
That can't be gotten again.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm that
Except
friend.
your life. That's the only thing you have that can't be regained. So your life, your health. You know, you see women battery acid.
Oh, it's bad.
Crazy personal thing. I'm gonna get personal for you right here. Not even personal, but we lost an aunt. I lost an aunt and an uncle behind somebody else's domestic, and it was such a random occurrence. I think, did he kill his lady and her child? Went on the run, hopped the goddamn highway, and hit their car on their way camping. Boom, two family members gone behind somebody else's. Because nobody decided to call, and you know, she couldn't leave or whatever the situation was, you know. So you don't know how it's going to end, how it's going to play. It's not just your life that you could be affected.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
You know? Talk about it, guys. Talk about it. Talk about it. Even if it's
Get it
just,
together, y'all.
even if it's, you know, you playing dice. Talk about it. Like it's just, we need to stop it. And remember, that's somebody's mom. That's somebody's sister. I mean, that could be your sister, your child. You know, I always think about that. Like sometimes we get focused on our own when I think like that's somebody's mom, that's somebody's sister, and if we can take care of each other, because apparently nobody else is, right?
Right.
yeah.
And I think another thing is looking at warning signs sometimes. You know, sometimes it's like, you know, you get in a relationship and that thing that you thought was cute about that person, you know, it's like, well, actually that shows that person might have an anger issue, or that person, you know, they
Y'all, jealousy isn't
something
cute.
isn't right. You know, exactly.
It does not.
Jealousy is not cute.
That's
We
what
keep
I'm saying.
singing
I
all
don't-
these
I tell
songs.
Communicate. Don't glaze it
jealousy
over.
does not. I say that to a girlfriend of mine. I was like, you jealous? Doesn't look good on you. Does
That's
not look
not
good on you. At all.
Don't glaze over it. Don't glaze
That's what I'm
over it.
saying, yeah. So-
Call them out on
fake,
it.
Oh, he's just
Right
he's
away.
just so possessive.
Right,
He's
yeah,
so
he
cute.
don't
first time.
He just doesn't
want
want me to go anywhere.
Oh, I don't
He
play them
doesn't-
games.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't do all that. All them hands. Oh, we don't do those.
Yeah. All the,
So you can either check that
hands.
or you can not check it. But I'm telling you right now, we don't do all them hands.
And just set a
like
you know what I'm
that.
saying? Set boundaries. Set, you know, if
Yes,
you're in a new
healthy
relationship, set
boundaries.
and when
And,
this happens,
and when you say something, really mean it. Oh, I'm gonna have to go.
when that it's not dotted lines, it's a hard, solid white line on the road. You
Right.
can't cross that line until you know. So
Say what you mean and mean what you say.
And guys, it's easier said than done. I mean, we have systems, as you know, of oppression that have made us, our self-esteem is shot. We think that we deserve this, that we're supposed to get this, and it's like we don't. I mean, and I say that to say like we got to meet each other where we are, equip us with the information.
No, but at the end of the day, but you know what too though, you're gonna keep having the same situation until you learn your lesson. It's gonna keep happening until you learn your lesson. And your lesson is you worth more than that. That's your
right.
lesson.
That's right.
That's your lesson. You worth more than that. Until you realize that you're worth more than that, it's gonna keep happening. You worth more than that.
real quick, presence of a gun increases the risk of homicide by 500%.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Just the presence of having
Just the
that
fact that it's good,
immediately,
right?
it's the
Better
immediate
know it.
go-to. 500%.
yes, absolutely.
Better know it.
18 to 24 women are the most common victims.
Yep.
I got my notes. You know, I
Yes,
do
you're
my
doing good. Hats off to you.
34%. Only 34% of all domestic violences receive attention, any type of medical attention. So you got 66. What is that? 66% just
How many of them go unreported?
just put a sweater
Right,
on
that's
and go to
another
work.
thing,
How
too,
many of them
right.
You
go
know,
unreported as domestic?
The numbers are low, and just so you know, strangulation
crazy, right?
causes brain damage. People don't realize this. Maybe somebody's
Lack of
acting
oxygen,
funny
yeah.
because they've had multiple brain injuries. It's kind
Multiple
of like
strain,
going through a concussion over and over again.
I keep telling y'all, when I got my concussion, I ain't been right since, and that was almost
So imagine
20
getting-
years ago. Like I still
hitting your head.
signs of you left the cabinets open. I've been leaving the cabinets open since I got a concussion.
Yeah.
And
Hey
it hasn't
people,
stopped.
if y'all go to the hospital and y'all tell them what really happened, they can't. They will help you.
There's
They don't
actually-
even want to
They
believe.
won't let you
Look,
go.
My lady
They will
got
help
sick, and we were in the doctor, and I was explaining how long, and I guess I had too much detail and how like, oh no, the pain started here, and it was she had this surgery before, and the lady was looking at me like,
You talking a little bit forward to a little
you
bit too
talking a
much.
little bit, and I'm like, I just been up every hour, when she needs me to get up and run and go get. And she was looking at me, and then when I left, and then when I came back, she was like, she came back here as soon as you left and asked me if you would.
Good.
And I was like,
And actually, you know what I'm saying?
That's what she's
She did her
supposed to do.
job.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what
I
you're
can't
supposed to
be, and I can understand why. Like,
Yeah.
I'm answering every question.
But you can request a forensic exam, folks. It's not just for sexual assault. If they can actually use UV rays, especially for women of color. We don't see the bruises, but if you change the light, you can see handprints. You can see old bruises that like. If I have a bruise here, you're not going to be able to see that. But you can get a forensic exam. That can help you in court. I mean, sometimes it's the fear of I won't be believed. But you can go and get a forensic exam. You can use that in court to make sure that you and here it's low barrier to get a protective
Y'all be in there
order.
watching Law and Order. Y'all see
Hey,
all-
stalking.
everything
Y'all with
they
them
can do.
stalkers, that counts too.
Yes,
if
it
somebody's
does.
stalking you, hanging out
It
by
is
your
illegal.
job, by
Y'all be
your house,
watching,
you
y'all be
cannot.
watching CSI and all that.
It's
Y'all
illegal in
see
all
all the
50
stuff they can
states.
do.
But real quick, before I got some quick stats, 20 people a minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. That's 10 million a year. That's men and women, right? 20 people a minute. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men are physically abused by their partner. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men are victims of severe violence. So
Severe
whatever
intimate partner
severe intimate partner, that's what I'm.
MPD received over 35,000 calls in 2017 for domestic violence, so it's present in our backyard.
And that's about it.
Present
That's all my research for.
No, you did good. Your research is on point.
One more time, give the people the numbers.
Real quick, PTSD. That is an effect of somebody that's been in a domestic. So if you get close to your girl and you watching the football game and you next to people, that's something that they're gonna go through. They're gonna be scared to be touched, be handled or anything like that. So. As you were saying, Jen, I'm sorry.
I was telling them to tell the people the numbers one more time, how to get in touch with them.
Absolutely. 202-540-1064 from my sister's place directly. But if you want to reach us and you have some other, you've been victimized in other ways or have some other questions, you can also call the DC Victim Hotline, 844-4HELP-DC. I think it's 844-443-5732, I believe are the numbers for that. And they're 24 hours. Our phone is answered 24 hours a day. So, reach out. We can at least help you safety plan at the very minimum.
National, and then the national hotline number is 1-800-799-SAFE. So 24 hours.
24 hours.
799-SAFE. Don't even worry about the
799-SAFE.
7233. 799-SAFE.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys.
Thank
Show.
you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
That was
for coming
Thank
to our
you.
show. We appreciate it.
So like I said, if you got anybody out there that you feel may have symptoms or you haven't seen them in a long time, they have a controlling boyfriend, they anything, they're down, or just reach out, man. Make the call. I mean, talk to them. Don't make the call for them because you might put them in a worse situation. But definitely make a plan. Talk to them. Be there for them. And yeah, just try to help them. If they have kids, just try to be there for them because they're gonna need you. They're gonna need you.
Spread love.
Say something.
And black people, man, talk about this stuff in y'all family. Y'all know y'all sister, cousin, whoever's getting her ass whooped by that dude that she don't have no business with. Get out there and do something to him.
And don't let
y'all
them
go
X
jump
y'all
somebody
out.
at the club. Go whoop his ass or something. Nah, just play. Just go
Don't
talk
let
to
them
somebody,
isolate
man.
you, y'all.
Don't let her
Don't
take
let
him
them
away.
isolate
And
you.
you haven't seen her in X amount of months
Right.
or years since they got married. Go
Right.
check on her, man.
Right.
Just
Pop up.
Come on, y'all. We got to get it together as a people, man. For real. Everybody as
you
a
love 'em,
human
pop
people, but
up on
especially
'em.
us. Once again, thank you.
Of course. My pleasure, guys. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's been another real one. I am your man, C.
Jen Strong, lover of life. We was in here once again.
Chuck Wagon and
Tashira Monroe.
there we go.
The one, the only, the.
Two Real Radio.
Hey.
I did that by myself that
Next
time.
week.
My sister.